Welcome into this latest Charleston County Citizen Service Spotlight, and we're here to talk about debris pickup after Hurricane Matthew. The county has hired a contractor who will be working for about the next 30 days to pick up debris all throughout Charleston County. But how that debris is picked up really depends on the citizens. And we bring in Matt Fountain, who is the engineering manager with Charleston County Public Works. And first of all, what is the advice you give to people when they are starting to bring some of that debris down by the roadside like we see here?
Okay, the most important thing is that they separate the debris into different piles based on how we pick up the material. So things like vegetative waste, as we see here, should kind of be in a separate pile. That would be any kind of sticks, leaves, debris from trees, anything that came down in that manner. Things will be chipping at the reduction facilities.
Okay, and when you talk about leaves and smaller branches, if people are going to try and consolidate those, it should be in a brown paper bag, correct?
Yes, they should be using the typical brown paper bags, just like for normal yard waste pickup, available at any of the home supply stores normally.
Okay, because we don't want to see that stuff in a plastic bag, and there's a reason for that.
Right, if there's a plastic bag, they will assume that it is household waste and that it will not be picked up by our contractors. That would be left for your normal household garbage collection.
Okay, what other types of debris are most common that we're going to see out that people need to have separated?
So in addition to the vegetative waste, we're likely to see what we call construction and demolition debris, which is basically anything where you had to take out rugs or flooring or drywall, any kind of like house construction materials. We'd like to see that in a separate pile. We'll see some TVs, that kind of material. We call that electronic waste. That should be in another separate pile. And then finally we'll have what we call white goods, which are generally appliances. They're called white good because they're normally white. But if you have washing machines, dryers, refrigerators especially, things like that, they should be in a completely separate pile. They have to be processed, especially for Freon. They get recycled because they have a metal content.
And the important thing, if you do have to get rid of a refrigerator, you gotta get the food out of there, and that's got to be thrown in with your household waste.
Yes, we basically, because we're going to be recycling those, they need to be in a separate pile with all food material, anything that's gone spoiled, anything like that, taken out and put in your household waste.
All right, and hazardous waste can also be brought out curbside, from what I understand.
It can. If you had a garage that flooded and you have paint cans or you have old lead acid batteries, anything like that, you're welcome to bring that out, but just make sure it's completely separate for everything else. We have to bring out special trucks to deal with that and process it separately.
Okay, a few troubleshooting items that people need to know about. When stuff is put curbside, we want to avoid putting it under power lines. We want to keep it away from fire hydrants and other utility boxes, say a cable box. And what is the reason for that?
Yeah, you have to remember with the way we're picking up all of this material, basically it'll be large trucks using kind of overhead grapples that reach down and pick up the material. We have that, so if you put it near power lines, they basically risk hitting the power lines, so they'll try to avoid that. And then we don't want someone to be picking up material and it's sitting over a fire hydrant and break the fire hydrant or knock over a mailbox or damage utility pedestals. So it would drastically slow down the ability for those contractors to get to you if you do that kind of activity.
And one thing for folks who do have power lines on both sides of their street, even if we don't get it with the grapple truck, they will come through with a smaller truck. That correct?
Yes, for a lot of the residents, if you have low power lines or low-lying low-hanging trees on both sides of the road, we will come back and get that material if there's nothing you can do except have it under one of those structures. It's just specialized material, equipment that has to come back, so it'll delay the pickup recovery and make it just much harder on us. So we like you to do everything you possibly can to get it out. I mean, put it in the edge of the street if you need to, but try to get it away from those trees and power lines if possible.
All right, and then finally, if you do see a truck come through your neighborhood and you haven't had your stuff down curbside, that's okay because they're going to make a couple trips.
Yes, we'll make multiple passes, what we call passes for all the neighborhoods. That there'll be an initial pass just to try to get in, assess how much debris we've got, get everything that people have put out quickly, but we will come back again. And likely, as you mentioned, it'll probably be for at least 30 days we'll be making passes. We do want to make as few passes as possible for cost efficiency and trying to keep this as quick a recovery as possible.
All right, Matt, last question to you. Any other tips you have for the public as they are putting debris out? And is there a contact number people can call if they do have questions about the pickup?
Sure. It's a few things. One is that we will stop picking up debris at some point. That if, say, after 30 days or so, and again, it'll depend on how much debris and how long the pickup is taking, but at some point we will say, that's it, there's no more debris, you'll have to take it yourself to the landfill. So we do want everyone to get their material out. The contact number is 843-202-7600. It's 843-202-7600. That's our front desk number at Public Works, and we can give you any information that you need to know about debris removal.
All right, Matt, thank you very much for your time, and thank you to the citizens of Charleston County. This is going to be a process we're going to work at together, and we hope to get it done as soon as possible.